Fox News Alert as we continue to cover this horrific situation developing in our nation's capital, where 2 National Guard troops were shot near the White House. That was in D.C. this afternoon. They are reportedly in critical condition, both of them at this hour. We are praying for them, of course. And with that, let's bring in former NYPD inspector, our colleague Paul Mauro, who's been all over this today. Paul, we only have so much information. So in your experience, let me ask you this. We're already starting to have conversations and speculation about motive and why this happened. There are people working diligently, I'd imagine, especially the suspect in custody, to determine what actually happened here and why. What does that process look like?
So right now, there's a panoply of agencies in Washington, D.C. We all know that. They're all running around down there. Very often, they're not perfectly talking to each other, et cetera. It's crucial now that somebody takes incident commander role. Okay, right now it looks like it's chief of the Washington PD, Metro PD. You got to get one person in charge, make sure everybody's pulling together, and make sure that all the intel that's being pulled in goes into one repository. So you get a very quick, you don't want to find out later on that the Capitol Police had something that Metro PD didn't know about, and the Parks Police, which is a very, very muscular agency down there. They have a very wide presence. Their jurisdiction is the whole city. You want to make sure that everybody, never mind the Bureau and all the federal agencies, you want to get all that stuff in because, look, we assume by now he's identified. You can bring a print machine right to the scene and print them right there and see what you get back. But you don't know. If he doesn't have records and they don't have any ID on him, you might not know who he is yet. So you're working off a facial rec and things like that. You got to make sure that everybody's pulling together so that somebody far-flung doesn't have something that's crucial right now. Because remember, we don't know that he acted alone. He might have a whole group behind him, and you want to make sure right now that safety is ensured.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead, Jess.
I was just curious, obviously, fast moving, not a ton of information right now. We saw the governor of West Virginia put out a statement that the guardsman had passed away. Then that was retracted. Hopefully we'll stay on that side of it. Can you talk a little bit, you just, said the incident commander has to take responsibility for it and be the mouthpiece for this. But with social media, I mean, we're seeing images that may or may not be the shooter. We're seeing broken glass that may or may not be from now or a year ago. Can you talk about the impact of social media on these kinds of investigations?
So one of the things we always say is that of the first 100 reports in a situation like this, 99 are going to be wrong. And that's not just the media. That's even on the law enforcement side. Why? Because everybody wants to do the right thing. Everybody wants to pitch in on something horrific like this. Sometimes the best thing to do is to not run towards the gunshots, right? You take a step back as long as the situation is secure. That applies in the social media world as well. These days, every law enforcement agency, especially the ones down in D.C., I was mentioning earlier, the head of intel for the Capitol Police used to work for me. He's a really, really sharp guy. He's in. All his people are going to be in. All these agencies are saying, hey, guys, we know you had plans for Thanksgiving. Those plans are over. And nobody's going to say no. And if you do say no, and you're the commanding officer, and you hear that, you say, well, you're going to be in a new assignment starting tomorrow, pal. And you better pick one, and you're not going to like it. You got to get everybody in right now. And one of the things they're doing is to scrape social media, especially if they have an identifier. If you have a face, we did this with the Boston Marathon shooting. We had so little to go on. We spent all night trying to do it. Facial rec was very much in its infancy then. The video wasn't great. It was from Lord & Taylor or one of those, department stores up there. Yeah. We had so many false leads. Nobody went home. People were sleeping under their desks. You got to try to ID that person. And social media could be the key. But once you have them, the social media is going to be crucial for motive.
Well, was to tell you that there's over the last 4 months, 238 ICE agents have been assaulted, 40 Border Patrol agents assaulted, 18 use of force incidents, and really nothing on the National Guard.
Yeah.
The way it's described to us in that press conference, this guy came around the corner, knew exactly what he wanted, shot guys with bulletproof vests on who are clearly well armed.
Yeah.
So if I'm to give you those facts, what are some of the things that pop into your mind?
First of all, and look, I don't like to speculate too much, but you got to admit the possibility here of this being something of a suicide mission, because my understanding was that there were not a lot of National Guard around, right? So you got to say to yourself, he comes in shooting, he's got to know this is going to be a tough thing.
And look around with rifles.
Exactly. I was just down in D.C. I saw, it was in the middle of the night, too, and I saw two of them. It was on one of those Independence Avenue, one of those things they got down there. I had to say to them, there they are, patrolling, 3 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning. And it's pouring rain. They're in rain slickers. And I thank them because that omnipresence is what they're there for. People misunderstand the role. They're not down there booming doors, answering 911 calls. They are there as a deterrent. It's purely prophylactic. People say we've had it. People forget this. Since 9/11, we've had them in New York. 25 years. There's been no.
We're just in the subway.
And Kathy Hochul, our governor, Democratic governor, has them 1,000 of them in the subways. She credits them with a 40% drop. And you haven't heard any incidents of them tackling people, shooting anybody, unlike what we've been hearing from Melissa Slotkin, that the shots could be going the other way. So, yeah, you're right. You see the violence that's coming in, it's all going in one direction from where I see. And, tease it out. We just heard that the judge down in D.C. said, okay, this is an illegal deployment. All right, now she stated. But if you're sitting as a recipient,
Of course, it's going to be appealed.
it's going to be appealed, and she's going to lose, in my estimation, as a lawyer. But I got to tell you, I mean, if you're sitting on the recipient end of the seditious six, as everybody's calling them, and you hear that ruling, you say, oh, yeah, see, it is illegal. I'm not going. These National Guardsmen don't do that. They were out there.
Well, we're going to see federal charges. What do you think those will look like?
I think it's going to go terrorism myself. You have a much lower bar to get a CT charge, terrorism charge, in D.C. because it's all federal land. It's going to come down to the motive, but I think before long you're going to hear the Bureau takes this thing over, that is the FBI, and you're going to look at a terrorism charge based on it being federal land and a political motive.
Okay. When you hear that they probably have someone ID'd for this, does that give you hope, or maybe not hope, but maybe of the mind that they know what kind of weapon this was?
I don't know. What they will get the weapon off of the shells at the scene. Right now, they've clamped that whole thing down. The Bureau, as I understand, the FBI is doing the forensics on the crime scene. Some of these guys are so good, they can tell. They'll look at it. They can say, yeah, that's the shooters. That's one from the guard. They know right away. If he is, in fact, ID, the most important aspect of that is you can contextualize who he is to see if there's any other threat. Now you got to see, where does he live? Is his home booby-trapped? Does he have people that are involved with him? Think of the Tyler Robinson thing and all the stuff that went on there. It's going to be very, very simple.
All right, Paul Mauro, thank you very much for your expertise, and we will continue to keep everyone posted as we learn any new developments on this case.